Now for today's perspective, and we're joined by a man who wanted not to survive but to live. He left his family and friends, travelled squashed between cattle on barely seaworthy boats, arriving into unknown worlds where his money and, more importantly, he was often rejected because he was foreign, an immigrant. Jacky Moiffo, welcome to the show. Now, you managed to make a life for yourself here in France, but today you want to tell a story to change the image of Europe in your homeland, and you also want to try and find your brother Felix, your younger brother, who tried to follow you. You've written a book about him, They Sold My Brother. Yeah. Tell us, Mr. Moiffo, what happened to Felix?
What happened? In 2016, I went to Cameroon to see the family. I saw my little brother named Felix. We talked about a lot of things. He didn't tell me that he was planning to move to another country. When I came back in France, at the beginning of 2017, another friend called Richard phoned to me and said, Felix has disappeared. I say, but don't worry, maybe he may have traveled to another town. He'll be back soon. Don't worry. This was my European thinking. I forgot that in Africa, when the last border of brotherhood, even though he's something like 15, he's still a baby. Yeah. So the time passed. We didn't hear from him, and we got scared. And one day I received the picture of a friend of my family. I saw Felix sitting on the floor among the slaves in Libya.
Those CNN pictures, no? That we all remember.
The picture before CNN images. It was a big shock for me. At that time, I had another problem here in France. I can't explain.
But is your brother sitting with chains? You knew he was a slave in Libya in the photo.
I didn't know. When I received, they sent me the message. Richard, our older brothers, called me and say, Felix is now in Libya. The slavers are asking the money, something like 750 euros. They sent this money to them, but it wasn't enough for them. So they kept Felix in the prison. Then after, I started to deny. You know, you sometimes think that this couldn't happen to you. This happened to other person, not you. After I received the picture, it was a big shock for me seeing my little brother sitting on the floor like slaves in Libya. After I denied, until I saw the CNN images last November. At that moment, something told me, Jacky, you can't keep quiet. You can't continue to keep quiet. You have to explain yourself now. And I decided to do something. To start, I sent his picture to Alain Foucault, who is a RFI journalist, to Amobe Mevege, to Claudicia and other persons.
And indeed, you've written a book about him, but what is the situation today? You know, we saw the images, we were all horrified, but today, any idea where your brother is? Is anybody helping you try and find him?
How can I say? Who helped me? My friends. Someone like Joël Didier Ngo, who is the head of Nupa Bouger Association, and his wife, Fabienne, and other persons around him, helped me, and also my editor, Yves Michalon.
It's that personal kind of people on a personal level. Because part of your book, you feel somewhat responsible for Felix's journey, because indeed you left your native Cameroon to come to Europe for a better life.
I think that if I didn't leave Cameroon to come to Europe, maybe my little brother have never got idea to also move. He decided to move because he wanted to come and see me and stay with me here. You have to know something. Felix is, for me, like my child. Because when our daddy passed away, he was just two years old. And I'm the big brother. I have to care of him. That's why I think maybe I haven't done something to bring him to understand that Europe is not El Dorado.
Because he saw you as a success story.
He thought he was a success story. For me, it's not a success story.
So what did he fail to understand? Because indeed, reading your book, your trip across to Europe was certainly not easy.
I think when Felix saw me on the TV, he thought everything is easy in Europe. Several times when I got back to Cameroon, I always told to them, Europe is not El Dorado. It's very, very difficult to live there. But how can I bring my brothers, my cousin, or my family to understand that? Even though I'm a French nowadays, even I'm a journalist, I have never get something like exchange with DRH in this country to get a job on television.
So even all these years on, you have to fight every day for what you
Every day.
Okay, so it's an important message to those maybe looking at Europe, as you say, a very useful word, that El Dorado, that it's not exactly all it appears, all it cracked up to be. Mr. Jacky Moiffo, I wish we could speak longer, but unfortunately we're out of time. Your book, They Sold My Brother, has just been released here in France. And of course, we hope that you'll soon have news of your brother Felix. Thanks so much for coming into studio.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.